Let me ask you something. Have you ever avoided eye contact with someone, you know, that's someone you aren't sure you know in the checkout line at the grocery store? Or maybe it's the teacher looking for someone to answer the question in class. Or maybe it was that cute boy or girl you were gazing at who looked your way. Or maybe it was here at church that youth minister was recruiting volunteers in the church lobby. They look you in the eye and suddenly you look everywhere but at them. Or maybe you became very interested in your phone in that moment. Well, that's the moment that's captured in Acts chapter 3. Folks, thank you. Thank you for joining me as we walk through the book of Acts together. I'm praying that as you are reading about the story of the first church, that you will uncover a new and a fresh appreciation for what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus. Today, we're in chapter 3 of the book of Acts. Peter and John are heading to the temple at around 3 p.m. It's their normal prayer time. Nothing special. It's just an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. And there's a man begging at the city gate. A man he's been unable to walk since he was born. Every day, he's there, though. People actually carry him there to beg, which means that hundreds, maybe even thousands of people have pretended he's not there. Not wanting to make eye contact, they looked the other way and walked past him one after another all day long. Well, Peter and John walk that way, and the man on the ground does what he always does. He asks Peter and John for money. But instead of pretending they didn't hear him, instead of looking the other way, Peter does something surprising. He says, "Look at us." He says, "Look at us." Now that's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because, well, isn't it easier to sort of toss an extra coin at the man than to share eye contact? It's easier to give something small than to give, well, your attention, isn't it? Listen to what Peter says to the man next. "Silver or gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you." Translated, he says, I don't have what you're asking for, but I do have something. And that something would change the man's life forever. Peter says, "In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, walk." And the man walks. Now here's what strikes me about this story. Peter didn't wake up that morning thinking, today feels like a miracle day. No, it was an ordinary day. He was just going to pray, doing what he always did. Which makes me think, you know, the older I get, the more I've come to realize that that's how faith works more often than not. Not with grand gestures, but in the everyday, ordinary routines of life. Be honest, most days, don't most of us feel under-equipped? I don't have enough time. I don't know enough about the Bible. I'm not spiritual enough. I don't have the right words. Peter literally says, I don't have silver or gold. Translated, I don't have the impressive stuff. But what he does have is his presence, his attention, and he has Jesus. And that changes everything. Think about it in this way. When your phone battery dies, people don't say to you, "Here, let me buy you a new phone." No, what they're likely to say is, "Here, plug into my charger." They can't replace your device, but they can connect you to power. That's what Peter does. He isn't some superhero. In fact, later in verse 12, he says, "Why are you staring at us? This isn't our power." As if to say, hey, I'm just the connector here. And maybe that's the invitation to you and me. Too often we focus on what we lack, what we can't do. Acts 3 invites us to ask a better question. What do I have? I have compassion. I have attention. I have a story. And I have Jesus.